yet another film that I keep talking about, this Turner Classic Movies series this month, which will mean nothing if you watch this video next month. A series of films set in New York City in 1970s. This was a film from 1975 called Report to the Commissioner. It's a film I'd heard about for a long time, but I'd never seen. It stars Michael Moriarty and Yaphet Kotto and Susan Blakely and Hector Elizondo, and I could go on for the next 15 minutes telling you everybody who you'd recognize in this film, but I won't. The story is there's a young undercover cop. He winds up killing a woman in part of an undercover operation, and it turns out she's an undercover cop too. And the film then kind of goes backwards in time, not with a pocket watch or a BMX or DeLorean or anything. It's just actually the story jumps backwards narratively in time to show you how these two cops became undercover officers and where their journeys went and how they met in that unfortunate event and who is to blame. During the course of the film, when we're cutting to the modern time, Moriarty is basically in jail awaiting trial or sentencing or discipline or whatever for via internal affairs for what he had done, and kind of slowly losing his mind. Of course, it's Michael Moriarty, who I'm generally not a fan of, because whenever I watch something with Michael Moriarty in it, at some point I just have to say out loud, why is he doing that? He's always aggressively odd in films, and even at this fairly young age with long hair, which is unusual to see for him, he's odd in this film. Yaphet Kotto is great, as he always is, but he's wearing like this subtle, I think it's a fake mustache and subtle graying of his hair, which just looks fake. But overall, this is a really good, gritty crime drama, which you don't see a lot of anymore. At some point, crime dramas gave way to police action movies, and everything is somebody, jumping on a train or hanging off a helicopter or something like that. And I do sort of pine for the days when you would get just an intelligent police drama like this. Very gritty in tone. It's people working, the lower end of vice at a time where New York was a much more dangerous and garbage-strewn place to be. But for people who miss that or never experienced it or are curious about it, this is all shot on the streets of New York back in 74, 75. So you see what the city looked like back then. It doesn't feel like much of this film was shot on a set. It feels like everything is real. And it adds to the uneasiness, it adds to the drama and the kind of edge and suspense that this film has. You see some actual New York City icons like Sonny Grasso and other people who were known at the time as being New York City police who went into work in films either as consultants, Randy Jurgensen is another, consultants or actors or both. And it leads to a climax that I was probably pretty surprised by. It's a 70s movie, and as my friend Rick and I would often say, it has that good 70s downer ending to it. As a kid, I would watch a lot of films, usually pretty upbeat movies, comedies and action and whatever, fantasy films. And then I would occasionally slide into watching on a Saturday afternoon after Creature Double Feature was over, or after the Beach Party movies were on one of the Boston stations. They'd run a drama and I'd watch it. I'd watch something like Bless the Beast and the Children. This seems like a really upbeat film. And then it just punches you in the stomach and then the head at the end. And this is one of those movies. This wasn't an upbeat movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it does deliver on that patented, guaranteed, hey, it's the 70s, somebody's not walking away at the end of this movie ending. So Report to the Commissioner, it is available now if you have the Watch TCM app. You can find it that way. If you want to buy it, it is available on Blu-ray from Kino, Lorber, and I believe it's probably on some of the streaming channels as well. It's a really solid flick. It's very, very underknown, or if not unknown, and it has just this solid cast. And it also features, if I can backtrack a little bit, Susan Blakely has a pretty major role in this, and it just shows what a policewoman on the rise might have been like back in the 70s, and a policewoman taking not the easy path for her career, probably the hardest path she could take as a cop, going undercover doing what she did. So this film has some things that were kind of atypical of the period, and it's definitely worth checking out if you are into 70s movies, 70s New York movies, and crime dramas.